Hey guys, make sure you check the hat because yes, we're making America great again, right? Okay, so today we're inaugurating our 45th president of the United States, right? To address something that I thought was kind of interesting because on the forums I had been checking and like so many people are like that Donald Trump is an ENTJ. Like when I check any sort of Myers-Briggs forums, which not an ENTJ. I think it's freaking obvious that he's like the poster child for an ESTP. So the fact that everyone keeps saying he's an ENTJ is very off-putting and makes me feel like these people both don't understand cognitive functions and maybe they're trying to like hype him up to be some sort of like you know, very like a super planner genius that I would associate if like an ENTJ went on the dark side or something, as opposed to being more of a spontaneous risk taker, which is what he is. He's not a super planning you know, look far into the future person. That's not where his charm and his skills and talents. His skills and talents are about thinking on his feet, spontaneity, and you know, subverting the whole system and using it to his advantage, which is very, it's very introverted thinking, extroverted feeling pairing, as opposed to extroverted thinking and introverted feeling pairing. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, and I'm kind of going to go down the similarities and why people would even think for a second that he was an ENTJ. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how ESTPs and ENTJs overlap, and then kind of like compare the different cognitive functions. So think about ESTP, and we think about the cognitive functions of an ESTP. We're talking extroverted sensing, introverted thinking, extroverted feeling, and then introverted intuition, right? And then for an ENTJ, it's extroverted thinking, introverted intuition, extroverted sensing, and then introverted feeling, right? We're also talking about the difference between someone being considered like using judging versus perceiving, and just the fact that you guys, or like the majority of the internet, thinks that he actually is not a perceiver is hilarious. Like obviously, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about extroverted sensing, right? So both types use extroverted sensing, and I think that it's very obvious that Donald Trump does use extroverted sensing in his everyday life. Like he's very much a risk taker. He very much lives in the now. I think that he's very impulsive, both in his thinking, his action, and his sort of like planning style. But most important, like not even to look at it negatively, it's just extroverted sensing is about living in the moment. It's not this long-term sort of like for example, I know ENTJs that have like saved up for their future wedding and they're actually single right now. You know what I mean? Like that's ENTJ, just that long-term organization. Also with you know, putting things into action, actually like doing things, you know. So I do think that ENTJs are more movers and shakers than an INTJ, for example, because introverted intuition is a perceiving function, right? So it's more so about, well, so is extroverted sensing, but yeah, so this is the perceiving function. And so if you're leading with a perceiving function, especially perceiving function that is introverted, that's going to show very much in your character, your planning style, even in the way that you speak. I feel like Donald Trump speaks like a censor. Don't F with me here, okay? He does not speak like someone that uses a lot of intuition, which is not to say that he doesn't have it. And it also is not to say that an extroverted censor cannot have some sort of planning skills that are far term, because you have to understand this is a person who is 70 years old, so he's had a lot of time to develop all of his functions to a point where they're very useful to him now, you know. So he does have the strongest amount of introverted intuition that he's going to have now at his advanced age, because it's, you know, it's grown. I think that if you met Donald Trump as a 25-year-old, you would meet an even more impulsive person that was definitely about kind of like short-term gratification, more so than avoiding certain risk and being more of a cautious person. ENTJs are very cautious people, which I don't see at all with Donald Trump, right? And I think that in terms of like bullying style, right? Like, or just kind of like making things happen style in a way that's aggressive and assertive. An ENTJ, I feel, would be more like, if they're going to come at you, they're going to come at you hard, but they're going to come at you verbally, and think kind of like at so many different points and angles. It's going to hit you, it's going to hurt you, but it's also going to be, it's going to have a level of decorum. So like, for example, if you guys ever watch Flipping Out, if you guys know Jeff, like how Jeff kind of gets at his boyfriend and his employees, and kind of like, it's not even that he's a dictator, like he does a lot for his employees. Like an ESTP bully as a young man is definitely the person that beats you up and, you know, they freaking push you downstairs and shit. You know what I mean? And I think that Donald Trump is definitely more of that sort of person. Now that he's older, a lot of it's verbally. So he verbally lashes out at people. And he does have a little bit of a sense and intuition about people. And you see it in his tweets. He does kind of hit on the mark sometimes, but it's just so flagrant and it's so like abrasive. You're like, how are you doing this? And how are you getting away with this? And that's the core of why I feel like Donald Trump is an ESTP. And it's because of that amoral, introverted thinking, extroverted feeling combination. So what do I mean by amoral? Mind you, I didn't say immoral. I said amoral. So I think that when it comes to morality with people that utilize introverted thinking and extroverted feeling, their morality is more like, morality is not subjective. It's more objective. So a lot of times that sort of dichotomy, like when you think about evil and good, and like I have some links with this, like that structure, that doesn't come into play for an ESTP. You know what I mean? It's more so like they're going to try and figure out how they're going to make the system work for them. They're going to figure out how the system works, right? And then they're going to use it to their advantage. So morals doesn't really come into play. And I think that if you look at the way that Trump operates, he's very much that person. Like, he's not working from a core set of principles. If anything, his opinions on things change often. Actually, they change at the drop of a hat. But more importantly, it's more like a sort of flexibility, as Bruce Lee would say, be like water. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, in this moment, we're going to do this because this is going to have the most emotional impact. And that's where the extroverted feeling is going to come in. Because it's about, how can I emotionally manipulate the people in the room, make them feel a certain way, and then, you know, and then subvert the system so that it's most beneficial for me. And I think that's probably the way that he's, kind of just use his business sense in that way. It's more about subverting the system than following the rules, which is something that's very cool about him. And I think a lot of people would agree that is a cool thing about him. Like, you have a person coming in to an extremely elite position. He's the 45th president of the United States, you know, of extremely elite position that followed none of the rules. He doesn't have his JD. He didn't go to law school. He didn't freaking, you know, he hasn't sat here. He hasn't been in Senate. He hasn't had any of those positions. He didn't play nice. He didn't even play that fake nice that politicians usually do. And he was able to kind of like figure out, okay, what's the shortest point? Like, how can I get from A to B doing my own thing? So that requires a certain skill set that I think an ESTP is perfect for, that could definitely thrive in, especially a mature ESTP, or one that's older, that knows how to use all their functions well, and use both the little intuition that they do have to both put that with their use of extroverted feeling, and be able to get what they want out of every scenario. So I think that with introverted intuition, I think that he's actually the opposite. He doesn't overanalyze things. He's not, you know, he's not an introvert. And also, I don't think he's an intuitive. So, you know, it's not about looking far. It's like looking right in front of you, like kind of paring back the bullshit. It's like, okay, what do we have right in front of us? Like, if we're looking at an egg, it's an egg. Okay? It's not, you know, the offspring of a chicken or some other animal, as like an extroverted feeler might think. It's not like, let's think about the idea of an egg, you know, or what came first, the chicken or the egg, or just thinking about certain things that like introverts or NTJs or ITPs would be thinking about, or like, how do eggs work? You know, how does the reproductive system work? Like an ESTP, just like an ESFP, would be like, oh, it's a fucking egg, all right? So we're going to take this egg and we're going to do something. We're going to crack it and make some omelets, or, you know, or we're not, but it's an egg. And this can be of use to me. Why are you thinking theoretically about something so simple? That's the way an ESTP thinks. Yeah, and then what comes perfectly with it again is the extroverted feeling, because, you know, I think that, you know, extroverted feeling manifests in like picking up on like social cues and like, you know, really playing into social cues, which I think Donald Trump was exquisite at, that he really did play to the interest of his audience. And while I feel like he personally doesn't even believe in half the stuff he talks about, not because he has this great moral center, but because I think he's so me-focused that he doesn't really care about agendas, only how the agenda affects him personally. So if you're not in the same tax bracket as him, if you don't represent the same groups that he has, that he's part of, I don't think that what you care about is what he cares about, because that's not of use to him. It wouldn't make sense to be of use to him, right? It might be of use to you, but who are you? Like, and if you're listening to him on that basis, it's going to be very shocking to you. Like, these next 4 years are going to be very shocking for people that are diehards for him. Because I don't think that he's either like a hateful person, as it's like extreme selfishness and narcissism more so. You know what I mean? So it's really just about him. Does this affect me? Does this work in my favor? Like, let's put it this way. If you're a comedian and you make a joke about him, okay, you're a bad comedian then. If your show, you say something off kilter, you're a bad, you know, that's a bad show. If you're a news outlet that says something that's potentially disparaging, you're telling fake news. If you're doing anything that doesn't support me and my agenda as Donald Trump, you're a bad person. You're illegitimate. You're a poser. You're fake. You're part of the system. And like that, I feel like that would be very obvious to people. You know, it's like anything. It's like a girl that thinks she's really hot or something. Someone's like, oh, you're all right. What do you mean I'm all right? Hottest girl in the world. What are you saying? You know, like that comes off crazy. But somehow when Donald Trump does it, it's, I mean, people laugh at it, but like, I feel like people take it seriously. They're like, yeah, that's a fake news outlet, obviously. You know what I mean? So, you know, kudos to him for having, you know, that sort of influence. I also think that his extroverted feeling when it's in the tertiary spot doesn't come from a place of harmony so much. It's like harmony in sense of like assessing what's going on with people to determine if you can get what you want from them. You know what I mean? Which in turn can end up beneficial for the other party too, but only if it's beneficial for the extroverted feeling user. I mean, it's like everyone else is not going to be partying here, and then I stop. It's like, hey, you guys party, I'm getting paid. You know what I mean? Like, they do things with a purpose, have a nonchalant attitude, and it's very charismatic, and it's personable, and it's dangerous, and there's something very attractive about that, because they're not even trying hard. You know what I mean? It comes effortlessly, and I think that is the extroverted sensing as well as the extroverted feeling in there. That's just very like, you know, devil may care. You know, they're cool as a cucumber. Like they're you know, they have a very, like their attitude is something that just draws people in, you know. And another thing ESTPs are good at is exactly what Donald Trump is excellent at, is subverting the system, you know, like not following, you know, he doesn't have to deal with bureaucracy on that level. It's like, I don't have to do those things. Like, oh, you're supposed to do step 1, 2, 3. And I think if you looked at Hillary, right, Hillary's very much, you know, the Girl Scout sort of girl where it's like, you know, growing up, she was like, okay, this is the way to success. You do this and this and this and this and this. And she checked all her boxes. She dotted her I's. She crossed her T's. And it didn't get her to this place because, of course, some ESTP is going to come in see what's necessary and see what could be cut out, do what's necessary, and then get the top spot. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what ECPs do. Like, they come in and they're not doing what you think they're supposed to be doing, and somehow it's working out. It's working out. The only thing that kills the ECP sometimes is that impulsivity. It's that impulsivity. It's that weak introverted intuition where it's just like, now. Not tomorrow. Now. I feel this way. I'm angry. You know? They definitely need more of a more constructive way to release their sort of like tension. And, you know, and kind of like, you know, step away from the situation and then come back. And that's obviously something Donald Trump be up like at 2 a.m. and he's like, I'm not with the fuck shit. Okay. Let me tweet. This is some bullshit. No, fuck out here. No. Okay. No. No. And then he's just like, you know, angry thumbs, you know, like he's not gonna take that moment. Like, he needs Melania be like, Donald, please. He's like, no. Fuck that, nah. And then he just has to like set it off on people. You know what? Another thing I think people find very attractive about ECPs is that, you know, people like myself are worrywarts. And we're going to sit here and we're going to be worried and try to be a perfectionist about shit. And ECPs are like, what are you doing? Just do it. It's so attractive because everyone's so insecure. Everyone's so insecure. And he's insecure too. Like, don't get it wrong. A lot of the things he does, a lot of his ambitions come from that insecurity. He's a very insecure man. He's 70 years old. He has the world in his palm. He's a very insecure man. But its insecurity comes out in different ways. Like, it comes out so honestly and blatantly. And people aren't used to that because we're taught to kind of keep those things like that's like not social propriety. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do those things, and he's doing it and he's getting away with it. They're definitely the shoot from the hip type where everyone else is like, I can't say that. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't go there. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't treat women like that. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you have to. And ECP's like, fuck that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to play to people's fears, play to their interests, get mines. You know what I mean? Like, I think, hey, it's pretty awesome when you look at it that way. They're definitely the hero of the day. They go out and they do the damn thing, you know? Everyone else, yours truly, at home freaking out, you know? And another thing that's cool about ECP is, like, they let us know, like, yeah, you can take risks. You can do things. I mean, I think if there's one really cool thing about Donald Trump, there's a lot of cool things about him. Of course, that we're going to make America great again, right? But outside of that, you know, I feel like all those generic sayings and, like, cliches, sort of, like, that, you know, we've heard for years, I feel like somehow, because of just, like, his whole life record, everything that happened during, his campaign trail, everything that's happened since he's won the election and he's not even inaugurated and he's literally flipped the world upside down. I think that all those sort of generic cliche sayings could be used at any point to describe how actually, yeah, maybe you can win at some shit you 100% wasn't supposed to win at. Like, you know, maybe we shouldn't give up. Maybe, you know, like sayings like never give up, never surrender. I have some more for you. Success is 80% showing up. Climb every mountain. Forge every stream. No experience, no talent, but endless drive will get you there. Believe in yourself. Click your heels 3 times. Can't keep a good man down. Shoot for the moon. Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the 7 seas. Everybody's looking for something. And of course, the last one, you know, everyone's great famous philosopher, I think they call him G-Eazy. He once said, and I totally agree, I'm not found at the function if it's not lit. Make America great again, kids. Bye, bunnies.